I'm live and ready to go. That was rather abrupt, but hello everyone. Okay, so as you can see, this is the second run of this marathon and it's already not Uncharted, so I think you all got scammed, but that's not on me. I will just start a new run because there are some introductory cutscenes and there's plenty of time to talk about things. Anyways, Matthew, 3, 2, 1, go. So first thing you may have noticed there is that we're playing this on normal, and the reason for that is that the rules dictate so. It's literally not allowed to play on easy, but the actual reason behind that is that easy has a pretty brutal aim assist, and that's not cool. So normal is the next best thing because hard is too difficult for us. And as you can also tell, this is Tomb Raider 2013, so this is the first one of the most recent trilogy. So after Underworld, they took some time off. And this is what they came back with. It's somewhat of a new experience, more action focused, less puzzle solving focused, but you can argue that already started a lot earlier than this game. Anyways, we just crashed on an island and now we got captured and we're hung upside down in some somewhat dubious cave with no way out, except that as Lara finds out very easily and quickly, the only way out is to actually set herself on fire, which is a very reasonable thing to do. So from here on out, this is actual gameplay. No, it doesn't look like it, but so this is what you usually start the run with, except that after years of discussions, no, not years, but what felt like years of discussions, we were finally able to make it so that we are technically allowed to start a run after this intro, because there is literally nothing going on for 2 minutes. But you get the full experience, don't worry. The full glorious Tomb Raider 2013 intro experience, including Lara getting impaled, and then doing the reasonable thing and just yanking it out of her body. It's very good. And I will immediately, first of all, create a safety save, and second of all, I will quit out. Because what I want to do is when I load back into the game, I want to jump at a somewhat specific timing, which allows me to jump straight out of bounds. Because you kind of are not restricted yet in that very brief moment, and that allows you to jump forwards without, like, ignoring collision, without being restricted yet, which kind of starts a few seconds later. Which is also why, as you can see right now, I have this weird, like, walking stance because Lara's hurt and she can't really roll or jump or anything like that for extended times. And yeah, she's rather slow. Anyway, so this is intro out of bounds. It is a very precise string of movements, basically, because, as I just said, my movement is heavily restricted and there are a lot of slippery slopes here. As you might have guessed, if I fall into the void, that's not good. And if I fall inbounds, that's also not good. And the next two jumps are pretty much the most brutal ones, especially this one. Okay, got it, good. We're not quite done yet, but that is the most difficult one. But the whole idea behind this skip is that we skip the room you can kind of see on the right there, because it is a rather longish puzzle. Well, puzzle is quite a big word, but we skip that now. It's basically a tutorial that teaches you how to use a torch to burn things, and we don't have to worry about that. So with that out of the way, there is a second very small out of bounds we can do on this next platform that allows us to bypass a QTE. You can just grab this ledge on the very right here and then you're out of bounds, and just stay out of bounds past this point here, where this only saves like 7-8 seconds. Basically a guy would appear and try to grab Lara's leg and she kicks him off and then he gets crushed, but luckily this is not happening to him, so he's also safe in this very safe environment here. And now it's just crawling out of this cave, and then we're done with the tutorial. Ish. Detailed hairs are not on because it actually somewhat screws with the physics for the speedrun. And it's not because of the frame rate, because you might not notice, but we kept this game at 150. There is no hard cap enforced by the community, but if you play this glitched, you kind of want to run around 150 to 160 FPS. That's usually the sweet spot for most people. I will go into why that is later, but with detailed hair on, it is... yeah, some of the skips and especially clips are a lot more difficult / more inconsistent. Anyways, yeah, so this is Tomb Raider, as the game tells us, because it's a very forthcoming game. And the camera gets stuck here, don't worry about it. Laura just jumps away, it's all good. But now the camera snaps back because we went into this cutscene. So as I said earlier, we were stranded on this island. We arrived here with a crew of a few friends of us, but we're all scattered across the island basically now, and we have to find them somehow. So we're kind of looking for tracks and also for weaponry or food, because that's both rather helpful. This scripted event here actually makes it seem like she's really balancing and you can fall off, but you actually cannot fall off even if you try. Very cool. So you will see if you reload checkpoints during this run, it's just because it skips some flyby cutscenes or longer animations. That jump right there skipped a get up animation that you would usually get if you do that jump, but what we did was a scramble jump. So if you do the scramble animation, you're airborne for a little while longer, so you can kind of extend the range of your jumps by just a bit, and that was enough in this case to clear that gap without having to grab the ledge. Because Laura's still hurt right now, getting up from ledges is prolonged because she has to, really show that she's hurt. So generally in this category, the fastest way of movement is scramble jumping. But in areas like this, with, for example, heavy winds, or in some other areas where your movement is otherwise restricted, rolls are also the next best thing, basically. So you will usually see either me scramble jumping or rolling. Now there is, for the astute of you can see that this is, I assume at least, I haven't seen the stream, but I assume that Matt definitely thought about putting that it is any % no DLCs in the layout. So I'm playing without DLCs, and that is because Square Enix had the amazing idea that DLCs in this game should be in-game skills that you can just get early, instead of getting them through skill points. And one of those skills you can get via DLC allows you to roll after your jumps, which is the actual fastest way of movement. So there's literally a $1 pay-to-win for speedrunner DLC. That I do not have because I find that absolutely immoral and disgusting and nobody should enforce that. Anyways, so yeah, since we don't have that, Scrabble jumping is the way to go for me. Luckily there is a guy hanging there with a bow, which is very nice for us. So we can take the bow for ourselves. And then we can start hunting for some food. But since we also just got a weapon with a bow, as you will see, weapons can also be used for things other than shooting stuff. But first we need to kill this deer for story progression purposes. And after getting the meat from the deer here, we are supposed to go back to the campfire we rested at earlier to progress the story there. But we don't have to do that, because as it turns out, our bow is also basically a magic wand. And if you scramble and turn your camera correctly, you can clip through doors or thin walls like that. And the reason why we shot the deer before clipping through that door is so the next area would be loaded. If you would, you can clip through the door before shooting the deer, but then this part would not be loaded. So that's the only reason why we shot the deer. So yeah, now we're already in the bunker, and as you can see, this is definitely the intended way to go because it's raining inside. It's all good. Just Japanese remote island things.
Oh no.
And now we're making our way out of the bunker, because if it's raining inside, then obviously it should not be raining outside. But as soon as we're about to exit the bunker, there would be a cutscene. Well, first of all, it would be a scripted event of Lara getting trapped in a bear trap, basically, and wolves attacking her, and then you have to shoot the wolves. And then there's a cutscene, but we can skip both of that by kind of clipping on top of this. Oops, wait, am I already? Oh, okay. Yeah, so now I'm on top of the roof here. Okay, have to try it again. Yeah, I kind of messed it up. So yeah, the idea is to clip on top of the roof, but the camera and Lara's bodies are basically disjoint at this point. So I need to fuse them back together without dropping down. And the way to do that is to kind of jump off the ledge, but then, since you're airborne, camera and body are fused back together. But we can jump back on top of the bunker ceiling, and then we can stay out of bounds that way. If I were to jump before that, before fusing camera and body, I would just drop back through the ceiling. So that was necessary for us to stay out of bounds. Now we are just collecting salvage, because for story progression we need to upgrade our climbing axe. But we will not use the climbing axe right after that. Because the reason why we collect the salvage is to upgrade the climbing axe so we can use it to basically turn a valve, which will open a gate. Also, don't mind the unloaded textures, this is all fine. But we will just skip the gate instead. So there we had Dr. Whitman, our good friend in air quotes. That's the upgraded climbing axe, and now we can just leave him right there in safety and go our own way. Because by back scrambling into certain objects, you can clip back to the top of them, which allows us to just jump around that gate. And now we're by ourselves again. No more shackled by the story progression of Dear Dr. Whitman. Unluckily, as it turns out, there are some, of course, some Russians on this island. And the Russians are bad people, apparently. So they capture us again and take away our weapons. Unlucky. So this brings us to this stealth segment. But as you can see, not very stealthy if you can just roll right past them. Some of them are a bit more attentive to you. But yeah, as long as you kind of know when to pick your spots with when to go, this is not really all that difficult. But as I said, we don't have a weapon right now, so there is no real way to bypass stuff here. Glitches in this game generally rely on weapon physics and mechanics. But after this guy, Lara has the amazing idea to hide from people by just not looking at them. And that's a very good idea. As you can see, it works out perfectly. So there's this guy in clear sight of her, and she will just look away. And as you can tell, he's not seeing her. All good. Oh, no. Well, I guess it didn't work out. So now he's asking us if we need some help, and we politely reject that offer. That's all good. Also, it's worth noticing that the Russian that this guy speaks is actually not correct Russian. Which is amazing, because there is a Russian dub, but they didn't use the Russian dub for the Russian dub in the English dub, if that makes any sense. So they had some guy record some fake Russian. It's pretty good. Anyway, so now that we have declined his offer, we are on our way again, and we now have a pistol. And also our bow, which we got during the cutscene that we just skipped. And since the pistol is a new weapon, there is somewhat of a tutorial fight here. And if you don't get the first two headshots straight away, the aim is purposefully made worse, but luckily I didn't even have to say that. That was just a backup in case I screwed up. I mean, what? Anyway, so here's Burning House skip. By weapon toggling, you also can clip on top of certain things, but in this case you maybe saw that the game kind of tried to drag me back in bounds. which is why I had to constantly shuffle to the left until I broke free from that magnet. So that's only saves like 15 seconds maybe. Usually you're supposed to go inside that building and they try to burn it down while you're inside, which is also not that nice, but we just skip it entirely. So yeah, as I said earlier, we were playing on normal, which means we don't have aim assist. So bear with my not so amazing aim.
Oh god, Roth, I'm in trouble. They're killing people.
And now with our bow and the gun, we're pretty much good to go. Once we're out of this area, the pace will pick up quite a bit. So it's just a little more to go. What also happens though is that at the end of this area, we will climb up to the top of this area. And for some reason, the game really likes to crash there, even during casual play or glitchless runs. So that's always great. Luckily, there's a checkpoint right before that point, but just so you're warned in case the screen goes black, you know what happened. So that's what we're approaching now. Just on top of these stairs, there's this shaft that we'll climb, and somewhere in the middle when the camera turns around, the game might crash. As all great games do. And... blessed by a crash. Wonderful. Don't panic. All good. At least now you know I'm not lying to you. Even before the checkpoint didn't work. Lucky. Okay, second try. Usually it doesn't crash in a second try, but I had it 2 times already where it would crash twice in a row. But... not this time. But yeah, in case you're wondering, there is a rule that, like, for PB attempts where you're allowed to pause your timer if that crash happens, so you can just continue the timer once you reach the same point where the crash happened. So in PB attempts, this would not really cost you any time, luckily. Anyways, so now we're out here and we find the captain of the ship, Mr. Roth there, which you briefly saw, and who will now bravely abandon again to be on our way. Because what we want to do next, or what we are supposed to do, is we are supposed to go into a wolf's den, because they kind of took away our radio, as wolves do, and we're supposed to retrieve it. Now we will go to the wolves, but not into the cave, because what we will do instead is pretty much the most important glitch in this run, slash category, slash game, which is known as the Skywalk. So there's the wolf, back there's the cave, but we will not go there, we will skip ahead. What we'll do is we will jump at a slope, and for specific slopes in this game, when you slide down them and you tap backwards, and don't do that, that's why you get the checkpoint, what you get is that Lara stops while sliding down, but she still does this animation. And now with specific inputs regarding direction and your camera movement, you can kind of make her slide upwards, if that makes any sense. And as you might also expect, that helps us to bypass quite some things. Oops, I did not want to drop all the way down, but that's fine. So that's not the only Skywalk you will see. In fact, I'm on my way to do the second one, because we have not gotten a checkpoint yet, and we are not yet where we want to be after this. So this is the second one. Okay, that's not good. Let's try again. Over here. Okay, that looks better. That does not... Oh, how did that still work? Oh my god. Alright, that was all just as I wanted it to get. Never mind. Anyway, so yeah, now we made it all the way up here without following the story, which is nice. And now we have to infiltrate the enemy bunker.
I have a bad feeling about this.
First we have this cutscene right here. Don't worry about it, just some flashbacks. That, yeah, these are two more of our crew members that we will... One of them we will never see, and the other one we will see briefly at some point.
They're counting on me.
This is not the most representative playthrough, if you're just looking for a casual experience, I probably would say. Anyway, so this is a stealth segment, as you can see, and I'm doing very well. Clearly they have not spotted me yet. So the only danger really here is that they might snipe me off the zipline that I will use, and in this game if you get hit while on a zipline you immediately drop down. I definitely didn't jinx myself good, okay. Because in that case it would be lethal and I would go back to the campfire, because that's the last checkpoint. Anyway, so now we're inside the bunker. And here we're supposed to use our torch to blow up some explosive gas in a room up ahead, but we will not do that, because since we already have a pistol, it also means we have a weapon, and if we have a weapon, we have a magic wand, as I explained earlier, so we can just clip through this door. And this door doesn't even have proper collision above it, so we can just jump over it. And here, the enemies have laid an ambush for us, but they were very kind to actually place an assault rifle just ahead of it. So that will definitely help us. Now, usually there is supposed to be, like, if you, as I said, would go the intended way, which is to blow up the entire room using the explosive gas, there is a guy that gets crushed there and he drops the assault rifle, but since we don't do that, the assault rifle just lays there, which is, yeah, also interesting. So there's another door here. This probably will not work. Yeah. Can I still... Sir, please. I'm trying to do something here. Did I get the checkpoint? I don't think I got the checkpoint. No, damn it. But yeah, the idea is to clip through the door there without getting interrupted first. It would be nice. Let's try that again. So this clip is a bit different, because you first need to like clip into the door and then you need to scramble backwards. So here first I have to swap weapons, thank you, and then you just scramble backwards. Alright. That was rude. And now we do pipe skip. So here you're supposed to go through that very faintly marked area, which would trigger a scripted event where Lara walks through an area with pipes very slowly. But what we can do instead, if it works, is we can lodge ourselves between the barrel here and the shelf, turn our camera, and then clip through the wall. So walking through that normally takes around 40 seconds. And yeah, not doing that does not take 40 seconds. So that's preferable. Here we do another Skywalk, just to get out of bounds. I did not mean to double tap that, but okay. And the reason why we want to go out of bounds is only to get on top of this bridge, so we can walk across it and skip a lot of dumb triggers that would skip a lot, or that would trigger a lot of dumb enemies that we don't want to deal with. And we can jump on top of this collision, and then we can start the Skyrim part of this run. Which leads to the best part of this run, because you definitely can see that large radio tower there up ahead. And you might think, man, climbing all of that would take quite a long time.
Okay, here goes.
And I'm inclined to agree with you. That definitely would be somewhat boring and take a while, yes. And in case you're wondering, no, this is not a cutscene. You actually have to just hold forward for... I don't even know how long this is, but it sure feels like an eternity. When does Lara learn her first dragon shot? To be revealed. Also note the very nice clipping at Lara's legs. It's pretty good. So the reason why we want to go to the top of the radio tower in story is so we can call for Mayday. So we can send a distress signal. The reason why we want to go there for speedrunning purposes and don't skip this is because A, there is no skip found yet for this part, and B, the next part of the level is only triggered if you get to the top of this and hit the cutscene there, basically. Also, this next jump here is a very safe jump and should definitely be done. Like, this makes a lot of sense here, yes. I think that's perfectly fine. Anyone would do that. Yep. Also note how, as soon as we get to the top, you can skip this cutscene, but we were not allowed to skip the entire climb up. Really had to milk that for dramatic effect. Okay, so Mayday, Mayday, and after all that climbing, we just jump down again. Time very well spent. And of course, now our way here is blocked by this very thin fence here, which there is no way Lara could find any other way around that other than causing a huge explosion, which is of course what she proceeds with. Very nice. So luckily there is a lighter here, or a fire starter. And we will use that to just blow up the fuel, which is definitely how that works. And also note that you should definitely stay right next to the explosion. Also, very good arm here. Just some stretching exercises. And this is the first of a few segments like this, where Lara just basically slides down objects, the environment, while everything around her explodes or falls apart. Get used to it. That's generally like a pretty common theme with the newer Tomb Raiders. Basically whatever Lara touches crumbles or gets destroyed. And here will be another checkpoint reset as soon as I hit the checkpoint here. Because there would be like this slow camera like fly by where Lara slowly gets up and then sees that guy, but we just can skip straight to the end of that. And as I said, whatever Lara touches is destroyed. So here's another demonstration of that. And at the end of this, there will be actually a few skywalks we have to do in a row to bypass another rather annoying and long scripted event, where, you guessed it, Lara would get captured. But hopefully this works out somewhat well, because this one is quite tricky, I want to say. Definitely one of the trickier ones, especially since there is a guy right next to you chucking grenades that can definitely hit you. Okay, at least okay, good. As long as you get up, that's already fine. Can I get unstuck though? Yes, thank you. So that was the first skywalk. Then we can get another one on this collision here. And then Lara should also go up, thank you. So now we want to turn here for some extra height and then boost ourselves over here just behind that tree. And now we need to just grab this rope here. So by bypassing a trigger here, also the area, as you can see, didn't load quite properly. I mean, no, this is definitely loaded properly. That's why Lara just climbed through that mountain there. Don't worry about it. Luckily, the devs here implemented basically a fail-safe way for you to get rope arrows, because we didn't acquire them yet. But luckily, by crossing this river, you just get them into your inventory. Can you jump there? Thank you. And the good thing about rope arrows getting rope arrows there is that we need them right here for this door. So that works out rather well for us. Yeah, like these objects with the white rope around them, you can tear apart using rope arrows. And as you might expect, there is another Skywalk we can do here. This one doesn't save as much time, but it looks somewhat cool if it works, which it basically never does. So expect some deaths here. Oh, that's not how you want to start. Please get up there, Lara. Lara, thank you. So what you want to do here is basically use this part of the collision. I'm too low, I think. Yeah, okay, I have to do that again. Yeah, you kind of want to use that small rock there on the way to launch yourself over that gap. If you end up too low, like I just did, you can't really make it up on the other side, which sucks. Let's try that again. That looks more promising, yeah. Don't die. Oh, goddammit. Yeah, lost the Skywalk at the very last moment there. The problem is you have to like curve around that large mountain there, so you can't really see what's ahead of you and where the collision is. But third try and so on. There we go. So the weird thing with Skywalks is they have somewhat fall damage cancel. What are you doing, Laura? Okay, interesting. I guess I'll go the long way then. Did not mean to jump to the left there. They have somewhat fall damage canceling properties, but also not. Like, as you saw there earlier, I just died from that Skywalk when touching the roof, but from the other one I didn't die, so it's kind of a mystery how that works. And yes, this does look like an airwalk, I agree with you. But the issue is there is another glitch that we will do later that is called airwalk, and they're very distinctively different from each other. And yeah, that's just how naming goes, I guess. I wasn't there when they were named. Anyways, another Skywalk here. And that I have to try again because I lost all my speed. Please get up. Oh my god, Lara. Lara, thank you. And now we want to go up on this side. There we go. And all of this is to basically skip this huge valley you can see there and land on this side without having to go through the scripted events that would usually accompany getting across there casually. And here we use a skill called Dirty Tricks that we skilled earlier. When we exited the bunker, we were sitting at a campfire briefly and skilled two things. One of them was just pain tolerance, which allows us to take more damage. The other is Dirty Tricks, which allows you to throw sand after scrambling. But what it also does, if you use Dirty Tricks just as a walkie-talkie segment like this starts, Laura enters this weird sliding animation, which is faster than the walking speed she would usually be in during these segments. Which is nice in itself, because it saves time, but it also has a different property that you will see later on. But first, yeah, so this is the pilot we asked for. He's not doing quite as well, I guess, as he should. And yeah, I guess it's time to get captured again. But this time with the twists, we're not hanging upside down, they're actually just hung us up this way, which definitely makes things a lot different. Also, if you're tied up like this, just yank at it, and it works. See? Like, makes perfect sense. Just pull as hard as you can.
What's happening here?
So now we're in the Chasm Monastery. This is where we will get a very nice weapon, and the last one you obtain in the game, which is the shotgun. So the shotgun has two purposes for us. On one hand, it's, as you might expect, the strongest weapon for close quarter combat. On the other hand, which is arguably more important, it allows us to destroy these boarded off segments. Like there are segments that are kind of fenced off by a lot of boards, like wooden boards. And with the shotgun you can destroy those. And that's needed for, like, you know, progression during the run. So you can see them up there. Those boards you can only destroy with a shotgun.
I hope this thing still works.
But we'll not go that way. We'll turn straight around and go a different route. Because as it turns out, if you tackle in this game, you can briefly airwalk sometimes and then fail that jump. Very good. So the idea is to just land around that rock there, and then you're out of bounds. So let's try that again, this time without failing, hopefully. Okay. So now we're out of bounds, as you will soon be able to see, which allows us to bypass a scripted fight and a lot of slow movement stuff. Yeah, this kind of looks out of bounds, I guess. Also, don't mind the guy there T-posing in nothingness. It's all good. But we still have to do the final part of this level, which is the... Hello, thanks. Which is the puzzle inside this monastery hall. Otherwise, the next level wouldn't load. But we skipped everything apart from that. So this puzzle comes in 2 phases, and it's always the same. You basically open the windows and then shoot the pendulum there with a rope arrow. So the first phase we do it to destroy these pillars back there. And we do it on the other side. Then a fight will start that we need to take care of. And then we have to reload checkpoint. Otherwise the game would softlock when we complete the puzzle in glitched. So we kind of want to avoid that. And as you can see here, shotgun is pretty good, especially when the enemy is in mid-air. Keep that in mind for later on. But even armored enemies like these only take 2 shots. There is a weapon upgrade system in this game, but we will not use it in any %, because we don't even get enough material to upgrade anything really, anything of use at least. And it's like pretty slow menuing through it. There is not enough benefit from it for us to really invest into that. So this is the second phase. Now we just need to hit the giant bell behind us with the pendulum. That one there. Also, audio warning. Game will, for no reason, become very loud in about 1 second. And I don't know why. Nobody knows. But I sure hope you enjoy. Because now it fixes itself, so yeah, no idea why that happened. So this is, for example, why we really want to have the shotgun, because otherwise you would just not get past these 2 obstacles. Shouldn't your neighbors be used to that, Warren? I mean, what?
Are you there?
I'm heading towards the palace. The others are being held there too.
I'll catch up to you and we can go in together.
So now we made it out of the monastery with the shotgun. And our next destination is the shantytown, which is pretty much the worst level for speedrunning, regardless of category. And yeah. Before that, as I said earlier, they were quite happy with their segments where Lara would just slide down random stuff while everything around her collapses. Guess what's up next? That's a good point, Hans, but the weird thing is there is one runner so far where that doesn't happen. So we just accept it without questioning it. But good explanation. Would definitely make sense. And that probably means that runner is a cheater. I mean, what? So yeah, if you've played this game casually and died during one of these parts, you might remember those death animations, and they're rather infamous. Especially the one in this area, because, well, hopefully you don't get to see it. But yeah, some of them are rather brutal and gruesome. But we made it, and of course, whatever Lara touches gets destroyed, so... Next emergency part. This time it's more PUBG-like. So you can get one-shot by these trees if you run into them, but only select fuse. So I have no idea what they were thinking with that, but good on them. Doesn't help that the camera shakes wildly here, but yeah, if you kind of have gone through this a few times, you know where to go. I know I am Hans. I'm not sure about the others. That does make sense, yeah. The revelations. So, as I said, Shantytown next. Pretty tough area, because littered with glitches and skips that are pretty precise. First one will be an upclip here, where I need to back scramble into a corner and hope the game allows me to clip upwards. Like that. And then I can use this ledge to, again, as earlier, where I needed to fuse back camera and body on top of the bunker ceiling, I can use the ledge there, because that's also kind of, you're in midair while climbing that ledge. So it fuses back body and mind, yeah. Body and camera, what the heck. Which allows us to skip straight to this scripted event, where Lara gets ambushed at the gate. And she has nowhere to go, as the enemies will say. Tough luck, I guess. Oh no, we're out. So this is another gate clip, where you just scramble and turn your camera. And now we make our way to the longest skywalk, probably, in the run. Definitely the most punishing one, because the issue is we are not getting any checkpoints past the gate there. And the skywalk is rather precise and has like multiple parts to it. So there's another up clip here. Basically this allows us to scale the top of that fence there, and now we're out of bounds. And luckily there is some collision ahead where we can get a skywalk of it. Right off this part. And now we need to make our way to the waterfall without hitting a death plane, preferably. So that's good, but we still need to make it all the way to the top of this mountain. Luckily there is somewhat of an elevator here. But we're still not done, and we still don't have a checkpoint, because now we need to scale some invisible collision here, which is pretty tricky, because as you might imagine, the invisible collision is not very visible. And we're still not done. We need to make it on top. Okay, now we're done. Because now we just can go back here. This is where you're supposed to come out during casual play. So we can hit the checkpoint there, reload checkpoint, and now everything is properly loaded. If we had not reloaded the checkpoint, this rope would not be here, so we could not make it across. And here I do again dirty tricks out of a walkie-talkie, so you can see that I'm sliding. And as I said earlier, there is another property to this, and as it turns out, it allows you to airwalk. And this is why the skywalk is not called airwalk. You decide which one is more deserving of an airwalk name, but this is just how it was named, I guess. So in this case, that airwalk there didn't really save any time, because we have to wait for the next gondola cart anyway. But in the very next level, so we will now ride the gondola. At the start, we will use another airwalk, and that one definitely will save time. What I will also do is I will enable VSync to cap my frame rate at 60 FPS. Because all damage in this game is bound to FPS. And capping it at 60 just allows us to survive the next fall, which will be from quite high up there. So if you still have the 150 or whatever FPS you usually run at, you would not survive that fall. Okay, so VSync. Reload checkpoint, and again I will scramble and use dirty tricks, because luckily just at the start of this checkpoint there is a walkie-talkie.
Lara, are you there? Alex said that you're on your
And
way
the
now.
interesting thing about this is also, of course, different audio languages have different durations for these walkie-talkies.
I don't think we can leave this island.
And in this case we actually want to have the slowest language, so to say, which allows us to have the airwalk the longest, which is English. So we're actually playing on the language that technically would be the slowest, but it turns out to be the fastest because it allows us to maintain this airwalk for longer, which allows us to get into a better position. You can also do this with other languages,
The only way.
Alright.
but you would not be able to make it all the way over here, so you would be in slow walk for a bit longer. And interestingly, with some languages you just can't do it because they are, like, the conversation is so short, you would not even be able to make it anywhere near that pylon. So that's cool. Anyway, so now we're on top of this, whatever it is, airship, I guess, ish. And we're supposed to fight these guys, but that takes some time. And hopefully we can bypass that by jumping around that part. And now we need to go underneath this one. And luckily, by grabbing this part of the collision here in a very awkward way, you skip the end of this fight, because that's like, the ship is supposed to turn around and that's supposed to be like the last part you jump towards. But yeah, we can clip down there and just grab that part to finish it prematurely. And now we're making our way down to the beach. Ish. Except we won't really go down there yet. I wish Warren was in co-commentary with me so he could sing Walking in the Air every time I do an airwalk again, but sadly that's a thing I have to remember from last year.
Something tells me
Feels bad, man.
easier way down.
Anyway, so yeah, we're now at the beach. As soon as we're here, we actually get the campfire for the beach, which is all the way at the bottom. Campfires you can use to fast travel, so we don't even have to go down there.
Where are they?
That allows us to actually do a skywalk here to another part up ahead that we don't really need to go to yet at this point. But doing so now allows us to, as I just said, use the campfire there for fast travel later on. And this is another skywalk that is pretty peculiar because Lara will turn invisible now. So you don't even know where Lara is, so that makes lining things up a lot more difficult. And I don't really have a lot of speed, and yeah, that's what I thought. That is the exact issue. But the idea is to make it all the way to the top of the cliffside bunker there. Luckily, the checkpoint is somewhat close. Let's try that again. I hate when Lara goes up there that early, because now I probably will not have speed again. Yeah, oh my god, there's just no speed now. I know, right, Hans? And we use the bow to go fast. Wait, no, that's DS1. Haha. Yeah, this is like, I have no speed. There was no chance I could do that. Sadly, it's not Tomb Raider 5, because in Tomb Raider 5 we use the binoculars to go fast, so that would literally be DS2. Okay, next try. Thank you. Okay. I was about to say this looks more promising, but then she lost the speed again. Oh my god, now I'm completely... yeah, let's try that again. Don't worry about it. Oh my god, like, can I get any speed today? This is so bad. Okay, finally. Jesus Christ. You can land on top of that wall there, which would make loading the next part a bit easier, because what we need to do now is halfway clip into this part. Like... Come on, Lara. Lara, thank you. That should be fine. Like this. Yeah, so now this tunnel up here is loaded and everything. Wasn't before. That's probably too low. No, okay. Yeah, that allows us to bypass wading through the water, which is very slow. And now we activate the campfire. But we first need to get rid of the enemies here. And now we can fast travel.
Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse.
So this is the campfire mentioned earlier. And that we got automatically by reaching the beach area-ish. Here we're supposed to meet up with our friends and discuss the further plans, but we can just as well not do that and skip getting on top of this. Because what we do here is, all that we do is we get to this shipwreck there to pick up a bow upgrade, which we need to complete the final level. For that we do another Skywalk, which would be the last one of this run, if it works. Okay. So now we shoot down the anchor there, and we need that exact item there. And luckily the game just teleports us over there, because we're not supposed to shoot it from that side of the ship. We are supposed to climb around and climb up on the side that Lara stands on right now, but the trigger extends quite nicely there. And with that we can now leave the ship again. Excuse me, thank you. Here we reload checkpoints, so we spawn at the beach. Again, walking through water is very slow, so we don't do that. It's the first time we actually get to see at least someone of our friend crew. And now we fast travel back to that campfire I just got earlier in the bunker with the Skywalk. So what we got there was the Composite Bow, and that allows us to shoot rope arrows into rock walls, which then creates zip lines that we can use. And yeah, that's required for the final level. It's the only reason why we need to go to the ship there. Now, to be completely accurate, there is a way to skip all of the walls that would require the recurve bow there, or the composite bow, sorry. But like there are 4 gaps we have to cross with those rope arrows. And there are skips for all 4 of those, but 2 of them are not quite RTA valuable yet. So at some point we probably will skip getting the bow upgrade there-ish. But we're not quite there yet. So this slow walk we can't skip. It starts just as you climb up from that ledge. Not much we can do. Basically all we did there is just progress the story. Like we will go right back to where we just were. Like to the same campfire that we just fast traveled from, we will go back to now. But yeah, story triggers and stuff.
Damn it! No! I've got to get back there.
You can try to ignore these 2 guys here, but they might shoot you off the next zipline, so you kind of don't want to risk that normally. I know some people do, but I never try because bad experiences trying to do that. So at this point in the story, you're also supposed to have the rope accelerator upgrade, which would allow you to zip up these upwards facing zip lines. at quite the high velocity. But that upgrade is way out of the way. Like, we skip that level and the one before that way earlier, so we don't have that, which means we have to climb these rather slowly, but, you know, definitely not worth the investment, getting that upgrade. And now we make our way to the final level. Because the boat is ready. Jonah is clipping through the floor. And we're off to the races. Now generally, cutscenes in this game can be skipped, unlike in the most recent one. Thank you, Crystal Dynamics. But for some reason, this next cutscene cannot be skipped. So this one I will be able to skip soon. Yeah, now I can skip it, but this one you can't skip. I guess it's just too important for the story. So this is where Lara decides to storm the enemy base by herself, which, since it worked so far rather well, I guess it's not the worst plan. So the only two remaining, remaining friends will stay behind and do nothing. Sounds good to me.
I need you here taking out as many of those bastards as you can. It won't just be the Solari either, but the others, Samurai, the Queen Stormguard. Look, anything that's not me or Sam, shoot it.
This isn't goodbye. I'm not gonna say goodbye.
My guess is that the time is quite bad, so let me check on my mobile phone. Okay, thanks, I got a Twitch ad. Damn it. Okay, can someone write in chat what my time is right now? Should be around 1 hour, I guess. Oh my god, Lara, please grab the rope. That was... Yes. 56:30, really. That almost doesn't sound as terrible as I expected it to be. Thank you. And Mac is just ensuring another ban in my channel. Good. I mean, what? Anyway, so yeah, these are the walls I was mentioning earlier. So these walls we can use to create zip lines on now with the bow upgrade. And here we need to set this debris on fire, but we also shoot our pistol there randomly, and that is because it locks out 2 more enemies that would actually come through this gate, but because we alerted the guy on the left, the gate actually closes on them, so guess they will wait for a while. There is not a stealth segment here, and sometimes I get caught here. No, okay, so only on the first attempt you can actually roll through this area, despite rolling normally being considered a loud action. But on the first try, it usually doesn't get you caught. And I say usually because sometimes I still get caught. Okay. So, yeah. We are basically invisible, as you can tell. None of them see us. Pretty good. No way anything can go wrong. Oops. So now they will just proceed to blow up their own base, just like we planned to. And somewhat up next is pretty much the only really big fight in this game, and it is appropriately named by the community as The Big Fight. Very creative. Why was he one shot? What? Did I forget to disable my cheats? I mean, what? Yeah, so the big fight consists of 3 phases, and if you don't have the proper strats or the enemies decide to misbehave, then it's not only the big fight, but it's also absolute torture. So I'm looking forward to that. Basically, in the first and the third phase, you need to kill all of the enemies, and in the second phase, you need to kill some specific enemies. Which is why I will checkpoint reload at certain points, just to because there is no point in fighting further enemies, since all I need to do is hit that trigger. But this is also where you will get to see the one-shot property of the shotgun when enemies are mid-air in the third phase. So just keep that in mind. First, in this first phase, we only need to kill 4 of the infantry guys. So these guys we can't reach anyways, and we just wait until the infantry guys spawn. And they blow themselves up, interesting. So they will jump over now and drop down here. These explosive bows are actually really useful because they one-shot enemies. It's very nice. Like that. So that's the first phase. Now we can cross over. But actually, kind of want to wait for that enemy back there to go into the correct position, because here I need to kill 3 archers, and I think it was like 4-ish of the infantry guys. Please get out of the way, okay. So that's nice. That would have been 3. Okay, that's 3 archers, there we go. Now we just wait until as many of these group up as possible, because there's an ambush that is supposed to hit us here, but we can turn it against them. Blow up the tower here, and now we have 2-ish guys remaining. Yeah, the other one is too slow. Okay, whatever. So now I get the checkpoint, I can checkpoint reload, and now in this third phase I need to kill all of the enemies again. But there is a spot you can somewhat abuse. And as I said, if I hit the enemies with a shotgun in mid-air, they are in most cases one-shot. Like that. Okay, so now 2 more infantry guys will hop down. There's one. He's not dead yet. Okay, that's fine, because there's another explosive barrel here. This guy is supposed to jump down there, and he's not. Well, that's bad. Well, I will take care of him later, I guess. Yeah, now he's jumping down. Whatever, because I want to make sure to hit these guys. They can be really annoying. Okay, and he's up there somewhere. Yeah, whatever. Hello, sir. Thank you. So that's the big fight. And yeah, now all that's left is a bit of clipping and a bit of climbing and a bit of jumping. And of course the final boss fight. So here there's a big puzzle in the next room, which is why we'll completely ignore it. Hopefully. By whatever this is. Move. Thank you. Just have to ask nicely. Now I need to flip back out of bounds, but with camera and control. Okay, there we go. So now I was able to skip behind this gate, because you can't, or we can't open it normally, because you're supposed to have the rope accelerator for that puzzle. And we don't, so we need to skip it. There is another way to skip it, but it's slower and was used in the old route. But I still preferred that route because it's more elegant than the clip that I just did. But what don't we do for the sake of speed? Oh well. Point of no return. So now we just need to get on top of this mountain / structure, whatever it is. Also, in case you're wondering, yes, all of this is just to help our friend Sam, who got captured. Very important story stuff, I guess. I don't know. Not like I ever watched it. Okay, so climbing in this game is not good. So that's something to be aware of. And again, the zip lines were supposed to maneuver more speedily, but since we don't have the rope accelerator, that's out of the question. So, also not cool. And yeah, just a bit of jumping. So in general, you don't want to just climb around. You want to basically jump during your climbs. Also, this gate makes a lot of sense. Don't question it. You want to jump because it's way faster, but of course jumping also sets you forward a certain distance, so sometimes you might overjump certain parts, which is why you don't want to jump in those specific instances. Here I need to actually stop climbing at a specific point, because as I said earlier, I am supposed to have the rope accelerator, and there's a scripted event here where this part will collapse. And if I would not have stopped there, I would have actually overshot this beam. So by going slower, it allows us to actually not die, which is preferable over dying, I guess.
Thanks, Reyes. Get to the boat. If I'm not back.
We're not leaving without you. We'll be waiting.
And down we go. Okay. And up next is the last gap that we need to cross with the rope arrows. It's also very fortunate that just the correct part of this mountain just broke off, so we can use the rope arrows for it. Otherwise we would be stuck here forever. Again, since we don't have the rope accelerator here, we need to drop off in a somewhat specific way and hope that we can grab the ledge down there. So let's see if that works out. Yeah, pretty well. So now just one final climb for the final boss fight. Only issue is it's the worst climb in the game. What will mods do? They will ban me. I mean, what? I take it that means I'm already overestimated. Alright, so final boss fight. What you're supposed to do is go down that way. I will try to not do that. Instead, I will try to just jump across and land on this bridge. Need to hit a trigger here, otherwise the QTE will be soft locked. And yes, you heard that right. Final boss fight in this game is a QTE. Very cool. So you can get ready on time-ish. That's not that. That was the wrong key I was thinking of. Alright, so time ends as soon as he falls down. So after I shot him like 10 times or so. So get ready. Because finally Lara has dual pistols, just for her to never use them again in the other games. Very cool. And time. Well, that was a mess and a half. But yeah, that's Tomb Raider 2013. As I said, the first into the new trilogy. If for some reason you found this to be entertaining, rejoice. I have another run of this tomorrow, except it will be 100%, where I will also have to collect all of the collectibles and do all of the tombs, because you may have realized, despite this being called Tomb Raider, there wasn't exactly a lot of tomb raiding, because in this game all of the tombs are optional. But yeah, tomorrow there will be no way around for me. But I don't want to stretch this out any longer. Next up we have, not arguably, but definitively the best Uncharted game. Golden Abyss, so enjoy that. And yeah, have a nice rest of the day and marathon.